Hello and welcome to Flammende Pinde, Flaming Needles. My name is Hanne and today I am coming to you all the way from the little small wonderful island Samsø, where we have a little summer house. A couple of things. First and foremost, I have a wonderful guest star today. My lifelong friend, or at least 30 years, Charlotte, welcome.
Thank you.
Charlotte is a really excellent cook, and for those of you who would like to join me on my knit treats coming up this fall, I can announce that when we are in Denmark, Charlotte will be the cook, and she really is an excellent cook. Charlotte, what are you making for us for dinner?
Right now I'm making a salad, but I made like a Untitled Chapter, which is Italian veal with tuna sauce and some fried sage. And
she fried the sage.
I fried the sage, like you do. I made like a dressing of different spices from different herbs from the garden. And then I'm going to make some avocado dip for the salmon, that's smoked salmon for you. And I'll be working quietly in the background while Hannah's doing her talking.
And maybe this will be part of the menu for one of our knit treats. Who knows?
Who knows?
So I'm happy to show you my beautiful, and Charlotte is really one of the closest friends in the world. So thank you so much, my dear, for coming and cooking for us. So that was probably the most noticeable thing about this podcast. The other one is that I'm still on my English tongue. And I've been really struggling these past few days since I posted the Stephen West podcast, because I've got some new followers from other countries, Romania and Australia, and that's quite lovely. That's so lovely. And I've also gotten some comments from some of my Danish followers that they really love that I have the flaming needles in Danish. And that they hope I will continue doing it in Danish. And so, here is what I'm thinking about this compromise, because in an earlier episode, I was talking about this also because I would like to widen my audience, whatever you call it, but I'm also not completely comfortable in English because it's not my mother tongue, and I don't have all the proper words for the knitting stuff, you see. And I don't want to sound like a mumbling, bumbling fool on my own podcast. So that was my decision then. But in Denmark we have a saying, you have an opinion until you have a new opinion about the same thing. So now I'm thinking this, because there was a wonderful lady, I think she was from Luxembourg, commented that maybe I should consider doing subtitles. Either subtitling the Danish shows in English or vice versa. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Sometimes I'm going to do the podcasts in Danish, and sometimes I'm going to do them in English. And we will figure out how to subtitle. Charlotte, you know how to subtitle podcasts? Yeah. So not only is she my friend and my cook, she's also becoming a co-producer alongside with my husband, Just. Yes, I hope that this compromise will be to everyone's satisfaction. I really hope, because I'm so happy about the way you have received my Stephen West interview, and I would like to keep this happy feeling going for the podcast. So sometimes in Danish, sometimes in English. Yes, and then another thing I would like to say is that for new viewers, my podcast is not... I don't do sort of every time the same thing. I don't show off my whips and my finished objects and my newest yarn purchases. I sort of make my podcast in themes, so every time I have a new theme. In one episode I was talking about my knitting needles, that's titled Smooth Operator, and in another episode, actually my second, I talked about my love affair with Stephen West, so that was the theme for that episode. Of course I'm going to show off some of my knitting and my stuff, but I tend to work in themes when I'm not out interviewing lovely people in the knitting community. So this podcast has a theme of the crazy bag lady, because I'm going to show you the embarrassing amount of project bags that are currently in my possession. Finally, I would like to talk a little bit about, in my intro here, I would like to talk a little bit about the future for Flaming Needles, or upcoming episodes. I have the utmost pleasure of going to visit the Danish designer Sanne Fjellad next week. I'm very much looking forward to this. And then I have 2 episodes coming up that I'm going to Copenhagen to do. And one of them is with, and now I'm getting a little embarrassed, Charlotte, because I don't know quite how to pronounce your brand, but Charlotte Byk. Charlotte Byk. So sorry, Charlotte. I'm gonna do an interview with her about colors and designs and inspiration. And then I'm also going to visit the lovely Anne-Sophie, and she has Typo hand-dyed. And that is a little dyeing company where she uses all sort of plants for plant dyeing. So I'm going to talk to her about which plants are going to generate which colors, and about her inspiration and her work process. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And of course I have some other plans. Oh, I still need to visit the lovely Johan from A Painter's Yarn. And we haven't scheduled a date yet. And I also have a very interesting podcast coming up with men who knits. I'm collecting men at the moment who knits, so I'm very excited about that episode also. Yes, so that was the long intro. I'm Hanne Just on Instagram, and I tend to talk a lot. So if you have the need for a break, please take one. Maybe a little glass of some sparkly niceness. I'm drinking a little bit of that, even though we had a gin and tonic or 2 yesterday. But you know, when you fall off the horse, you have to get back on it. It's also a Danish saying. I'm not quite sure it's the right. Charlotte is an English teacher also. So today it's going to be about knitting bags, and my goodness, I have a lot of project bags. I have a lot of bags in general. I'm not a big shoe person, and I'm not a big buy most of my clothes on sale, and I'm not a big but bags, I have a lot of bags. And then when I started knitting, we all carried our knitting around. And I was 15 years old when I started knitting, and I carried my knit. I went to the store and I got the yarn, and I got the yarn in a plastic bag, and that was the project bag. And suddenly some kind of genius person invented the project bag for knitting, and that was a need I didn't know I had. And now I always have the need. So yeah, I've been accumulating quite a few, and I'm just gonna dive in. Some of them is gonna have some content, which I'm a bit excited about because I don't remember every content of my knitting bag. But this wonderful bag is called, I call it the knit brick, and it's made of some cotton, and it's lined with some really lovely denim, really heavy denim, so that it's really stiff. So you can actually, if you had like 10 beautiful knit bricks on top of each other, they would stand and hold the shape. And this bag is mine, and it's the only one in the world like this, because it's my wonderful upstairs neighbor, and also one of my very dearest friend Rikke, who made this for me. I have such good friends, they make stuff for me, food and bags, and she made this for me, and I love it because it's so sturdy. And in it I have an unfinished hat in some wonderful hand-dyed yarn from A Knitter's World, some wonderful yellow, almost golden yarn, and I'm gonna make a pom-pom in the gray one. And now I'm not sort of motivated to finish this object because as Easter is running out, here on Samsø, I can just say we've had the most lovely weather. I also have some leftover cotton wool from one of my favorite places in the entire world, Garnussal, which is a store located in Aalborg. And I needed this for a friend's baby. I have some chocolate, empty chocolate wrapping. Oops. And I have the recipe for this thing, little gorgeous, I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up, but it's a wonderful little vest where you have some seed stitches on the sleeves, and then you have a ribbing under the chest, sort of to mark the top from the bottom. It's a really, really nice little recipe. So that was in my knit brick bag. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to sort of decide which bags I'm gonna talk a lot about and which I'm not. French Supply Company, Hallelujah bag, in some nice canvas, also pretty sturdy. And this one, Knitting Necessities. I had to get that one. Currently they are empty and without some yarny content, but maybe that won't last for long, because I tend to be absolutely not a monogamous knitter. I'm absolutely a Pillowcase knitter, Charlotte. I'm not I'm not dedicated to one project. This one is so lovely. This is my twig and horn bag with the brown leather straps. I love this one. It's so gorgeous. And I picked it up in the coated canvas because it's even more sturdy and it's even more what do you call it? Selvhjulpen, Charlotte. Yeah, it can stand on its own. And if there's one thing that really, really defines a good project bag for me, and I'm sure for all the rest of you out there, it is that the project bag can stand on its own and be open, so that you could just have everything in and then it comes out of the bag without any protests. So I love this one, and the coated one is definitely living up to the standalone requirement that I have. And in it is a little tourist brochure from Samsø, where I'm currently at, and also some loveliness. This is a little needle, double pointed needle holder that Eva from Vincent Shop, Vincent, Vincent Shop, made for me, because we all know how the double pointed needles can just roll around in the bag, and you can put your finger on the needle when you grab your knitting, and that's not very nice. So she made a couple of these for me. I'm very happy about those. Thank you very much, Eva. I'll put the names up on the screen. Also, I have some pom-pom makers. Oh, it's going to be so interesting seeing all the things coming out. Then I have some very clever stuff. I have more of this I'm going to show you later. This is when you knit, and every knitter will know this, you can't knit after you put the hot hand lotion on. So, because your fingers will be sweaty like mine are now. So I got this on the apothecary. What's the word? Apothecary.
Apothecary.
Apothecary. You see?
Pharmacist.
A pharmacist. Oh, it's so lovely. Maybe you should come and join me on every English speaking podcast, so I don't make too many silly mistakes. And you just rub it on top of your hand, and then your hands won't get sticky, and you always tend to be more dry on the outside of the hand. And this is La Roche-Posay Libica stick, and it's quite lovely. And then I have a very important thing my friend Tina gave me. This is a little wooden ball, and then you may ask yourself, what is she using this little wooden ball for? Not a ball, yes. not a round bowl that you play with in the garden, but the bowl you put something in. And when I have some yarn that is rolled up in a, you know what I mean, that I've hand rolled, then it also tends to, if you have it on the table, the little ball will tend to jump all over. But if I put it in this one, it won't. So I almost always have one of these in the knitting bags that I'm currently using. So this is a very nice little thing. In my twig and horn bag, which is one of my favorite bags, also because it can hold large projects, and currently I'm on some very large projects. I will show you in a little bit. Now I won't show it in a little bit, I will actually show it now in this beautiful basket. Oh, I love it. And I got it, it was in a Danish chain store called Grene. And I got this beautiful, actually my mom bought it for me, beautiful red bag, and red is absolutely my favorite color. I couldn't resist starting, I talked about it in the Stephen West episode, and I couldn't resist starting the cozy corner shawl by Stephen West. Also because the project that I needed to finish for next week when I'm going up to visit Senna, I forgot my double pointed needles actually, so that was a little silly. And then I had the perfect excuse to start my cozy corner shawl. And at the moment it's in this bag, but I'm gonna switch it over to my twig and horn bag. And I'm knitting it up on my favorite needles in the whole wide world, the lykke needles. Lykke means happiness in Danish, and I'm so happy whenever I knit. And they are quite subdued, these colors, compared to, for example, my exploration station. I'm very much a color person, but I love this yarn. It's the Noro Silk Garden Sock Solo, and it's so, the texture is quite rough, so you get sort of a roughness to it. That's probably because it's 10% mohair, but it's tweeded, the little color bursts, and I have picked out these. I had this in my stash and I got it for another project where it didn't work with, but now I think it works absolutely fabulous in my cozy corner shawl. It's not going to be a drapey shawl though, because Stephen West's versions are quite drapey. He's a lot into drapiness, and I think I love when it drapes. This hedgehog fiber that my exploration station is, the draping is so fabulous. This is going to be quite a rough shawl, but when you walk on the beach on Samsø in the fall, you will need something warm that really stays on your neck. And I think this one is going to stay so beautiful around my neck in my big basket from Grene. I'm trying to convince Charlotte to stay on frame because, but I'm finished. I can't stand here just pretend to cook. Well, okay. So I'm gonna. Oh, this is such a chatty episode, but this one I have to tell you a story about this bag. This is absolutely not made as a project bag, and I will tell you in a little bit what it's made at. Look, you can probably see there's something there. Look at this bag. Oh, it's so fun and gorgeous. And the story behind it is that I was on a fair with my work in Malmö, in Sweden, and I was sitting before we had to go to the fair. I was sitting in the hotel lobby, and then this gorgeous woman came walking through the lobby. She was so well dressed, and her hair and her makeup and everything. She looked gorgeous, and around her arm, like this, she was carrying this bag, and I thought, oh goodness gracious me, that is a beautiful bag, and must be an extremely expensive designer's bag. And I just admired her. And she went to the clerk and I don't know the word for that. And then she left, and I thought, oh, I'm never going to see her again. I'm never going to figure out what this bag is all about. And then I went to the fair and I walked around on the fair ground. And suddenly I saw her standing in one of the, what do you call those places where you present your products? And there she was. And I went straight over to her and I said, I saw you this morning at the hotel and you were carrying the most beautiful bag and I have to know what this bag is. And she said, oh, you mean this one? And then she grabbed it out. She said, this is a cooling bag. So it's actually a cooling bag. So wonderful. For carrying our chocolate. It was an Austrian company called Zotter Schokolade. And they've made these wonderful cooling bags to carry around the chocolates in. And she said, and I said, oh my goodness. And she said, oh, I don't have any extra ones with me, but you can get them on my website, on our website. And I asked, oh, are they very expensive? No, €5. So when I came home from the fair, I immediately ordered this one. And then they had another one on the webpage, which is a larger one, and it's in the most gorgeous green colors. And we're going to use that for our lunches in the summertime when we go to the beach here in Samsø. But this one is the perfect project bag. It's open, it's standing on its own, and I thought this is the perfect project bag. And in it is a not so perfect project. Some of my favorite yarn again. This is the lamb's wool the pure wool from Garnusat. And you can see I showed this project off. I showed off. In the first one I did this year is called En maske er ikke bare en maske in Danish. A stitch is not just a stitch in English. And this is a panic project because we moved, we got the summer house here over Christmas, so we were very busy getting the house ready so we could have a cozy time in it. And I didn't have time to knit, and so on my birthday I got in a complete panic. So I cast on 2 projects, and one of the projects is the welty shawl that I was wearing when I spoke with Stephen. And the other one is this sweater, and it's from a book called Knitting from the North. And it's a wonderful book, and it's a beautiful sweater, but I'm going to have to rip it out, frog it, because I'm not going to finish it. So, but these things happens to us knitters. But the bag! Oh! I love this bag so much. It's a cooling bag, and then it can keep my yarn cold. Silliness. So, in this beautiful basket, it's from a Danish company called Rice. I have a lot of knitting bags, project bags in, and I'm not gonna speak in volumes about them all. I'm just gonna show you. I'm going to speak a little bit about this one because back in Aarhus, where we live in our apartment with our children, we have our washing is, we all washed in the same cellar. And I was looking at this one and nobody seemed to pick it up. And then I finally asked all my neighbors who owns this gorgeous, beautiful, wonderful bag, canvas bag with these beautiful young people swimming, happiness. And one of my upstairs neighbors said, well, it's mine, but you can have it. So I got this one and I love it. It's so beautiful and it stands alone and it's very open. So this is a very nice, not made for knitting probably, but I've changed it for knitting. This is a very nice canvas bag that I got on maybe Mallorca or some such place. Lovely canvas bag. And then this one, this is actually in my other bags collection. The first time that I had, after I was finished studying, when I had a little bit of money, I begged and plagued my husband to get his permission to buy this beautiful red leather bag. It's very soft and it gets a lot of nice patina to it. Patina and Miss Charlotte. And it's actually, these are just little squares I had a plan about a blanket at one point. Is this going to be something embarrassing, or is it going to be something not so embarrassing? Oh! Look what you can find when you do podcasts. Some beautiful glimmery thread. Maybe a follow thread for some lovely project. Oh, how wonderful to find that. And then when I started knitting, I actually started using this as a knitting bag. But it does have these limitations to it. It doesn't really apply to one of my highest standards, the standalone issue. And then I have all these, and I've been giving them away, so I've had loads more. I have so many of these wonderful canvas bags from Yarn Freak. It's a local store. I'm about 100 meters from it, from where I live, which is quite a problem because it's a really wonderful store. And I love these canvas bags, and if you buy for a certain amount, you get one for free. And that's why I've been giving them away, because I don't want you to know how many times I've gotten one. He's right behind me smiling. Let's have a cheers with my wonderful husband, Skålskat. And then we have some cute little canvas bags, soft, not cotton bags. This is one from Selv, one of my favorite stores. It's selv, ikke. Don't know. I think they definitely. I'm not going to promise where they ship to. They definitely ship in Denmark. And I've been talking about Selv. I have a whole two episodes about them. And then this one, I couldn't resist. I tweeted long before you were even born. Yeah, that's how you feel it when you get old. Actually, I'm not a tweeter, so I don't really know how to, but I still loved it. And then some of these smaller project bags from Yarn Freak. Here's another big one. This is her signature color, the green one. And I've also been giving some of these smaller ones. Actually, one of you got one in my 500 follower giveaway. This is the pea bag. This is again my lovely neighbor, Rikke. She lives upstairs from us. And she made me this little pea bag with a little... And I love this. It's so cute. And look at the way she lined it. She's so creative. And she also made me, and I have another story for this one. I'm gonna try and make it short. This is called the Pillowcase. This is a knitting bag she made for me, and it's called the Pillowcase. And there's a really funny story about this one, because when I started crocheting my granny striped blanket, I kept it in this one. It's quite large. You can easily have a sweater project in it. And she called it the sofa cushion. And so I had my crocheting in it, and I would roll it up and stuff it in, and my crochet needle, my crochet hook was in this one. And then I tend to leave my knitting bags on the sofa. And then one night Jus was trying to sleep, and I was apparently snoring. I don't think I did, but apparently I was snoring. And Jus went to sleep on the sofa, and he actually used this one as his what do you call it, pillow, as his pillow. So it's been used both as a pillow and as a project bag. I think this is a lovely, and actually these colors are a complete match to our sofa, so it's a perfect project bag for me. This is a little small funny thing I got on probably Crete or Corfu, some Greek island. It's very nice for notions. And this is also one of the first things to make me look damn good. And this is actually a toiletry bag, but I thought that it could be a nice project bag because it's standing alone, and I love that. And the things that I knit make me look pretty damn good. And inside I have a little, it's really stressful for me that Just is right behind. I have a little collection of smaller bags from Søstrene Grene that I would use for buttons and cute stuff like that. Knitting notions. Ooh. And an old label from a hedgehog sock yarn. And I have these knitting bags, and I'm wondering where the other, oh, here it is. Knit fast, dye warm, and knitting. I should have the smallest one, and I'm so sorry because I don't remember where I got these, which is, yeah, this is a project that I'm also gonna rip out. This is a baby mohair project, but the mohair is so loose, what do you call it? I can just pick it out. So whenever I was knitting on it, my clothes would be, I would be covered in wool, and I thought that's not very nice for a little small baby to be wearing, and if he or she gets hot, it will stick on the neck or on the hands. So, but it's wonderfully cloudy, beautifully soft. But this is a project that's going to be ripped out. And also, some chewing gum. Never have the dragon's breath when you knit is my rule. I don't want to have a dragon's breath when I knit. So I carry chewing gum or some sort of mints almost always. And this is nice to find 2 or 3 pieces. Wonderful. You can also see, I don't know if the camera is picking it up, but you can really see how the fibers are staying on, and that's not too practical. And I don't remember where I got these back. I got them online. I love them. Knit fast, dye warm. Love this one. And then we have some loveliness. Oh, and also Rikke, again my neighbor. She cut out one of the larger yarn freak bags for me, and then she put a little, I just had the word before, pom-pom on it, and this is nice for smaller project, and I have some ripped out, and it is world yarn in that one. This makes me happy. It also makes me a little bit embarrassed because actually I'm not done. Now we have some interesting stuff, and I've been asked about this, and I'm so sorry to the lovely lady who asked me about these bags, that I'm only now coming around to making the episode about my project bags. But this is awesome granny bags. Awesome granny bags. And she makes awesome bags. That's all I can tell you. And I had to get this one because this reminds me of my 2 biggest children, Asger and Marie, when they were small. And then I had to get the notion pouch because I have 3 kids and I have a little 6-year-old also. And I wanted the little one to remind me of her. So these project bags are reminding me of my children. And they are lovely and they are beautifully done. And they sort of get pretty good at standing alone, and a lovely handle. I like a good big sturdy handle on my project bag. So this is a very nice, and I love the fabric. I love the colors, I love the fabric. So beautiful. And then she also had this, she has an Etsy shop, and I bought it when I bought these, they were on her Etsy shop. And lovely lining as well. I'll show you this one. Oh, look at this one. So lovely. And now Kille wants to come. This is the one that's, this is not, det er ikke din lille skat, men det er den, jeg har købt, som minder mig om dig, Asger og Marie, ikke også? So awesome awesome granny bags.
Hej, jeg hedder Kille. Samme staver til Kille, K-I-L-L-E. Og det er min mor. Hun elsker bare at strikke og lave videoer om at strikke. Og hun har noget ret pænt garn. Ligesom det her. Det er ikke sådan ægte garn, men det er bare sådan noget snor. Men nogle gange kan det også forme som en garn, det her. Men det er ret pænt, fordi det er rødt glimmergarn.
Yes, thank you very much, honey.
Amen.
This is a very nice fabric. This is some gobeling fabric, and it's again from Vincent Shop. And I had to get this one, and I really like this one. It's sturdy, and it stands alone. Again, I'm standing alone. I'm a stand-alone girl. I'm not actually. I completely rely on my friends and husband, and but this is a very nice bag. I love this fabric, and she has other gobbling. I'm sorry about the way I'm saying it. Fabrics in her, sometimes in her store, and she also, Eva, also made this one. I love the fabric. Flamingos. I love them. This is the problem with this one, but I love the fabric so much. Oh, that was a text. Yeah. We just had to change the batteries in the camera, and my husband was saying, Jesus Christ, you have so many bags, where are you hiding them? I'm not hiding them, I'm not hiding them. A notions pouch from Fringe Supply bags. It's very nice, but there are definitely other Fringe project bags that I love more than this one. I think it was a little hard to reach, and I don't know, but it's a lovely leather, and I love leather. And we are on the final stretch, I promise, because everyone here is getting hungry after Charlotte's food. Here comes an absolute favorite. It's quite new one. This is Sandy by the Lakeside, and I've been wanting one of her bags for the longest time, and she has a podcast, and I love her podcast, and I love her. She's so calm and gentle and funny, and she makes, and the making of this bag, it's so well made. It's so beautifully made. The lining, it's so beautiful, and the fabric, everything about it is beautiful. And it also, I mean, if the yarn is in, it'll stand alone, which is, again, this is the mantra for this. Maybe I should call this, instead of the crazy bag lady, I should call this episode Stand-Alone Girl. Stand-alone bag. I don't know. But I love this bag, and Sandy by the Lakeside. I've been wanting one of her bags, and they're always sold out so quickly. And then I follow her on Instagram, and she had an announcement that she had an update in the shop, and so I collaborated with my another one of my gorgeous friends, and Susanne, who lives in Toronto. So I thought that maybe if the two of us in hard work together collaborated, we would be able to grab one. And Susanne was the one who grabbed this one, and this was the one that I wanted, almost as much as I wanted a denim one, but they sell out like crazy. But Sandy by the Lakeside is such a beautiful bag. I know it's horrible. Fringe Supply bags. So, if I have to pick some favorites, a favorite knitting bag, one of the picks will definitely be the Fringe Supply coated canvas bag. I love it. It stands alone. It opens up wide. You can have a pretty large project in it, and you can use the pockets for a pen and for some buttons and for some labels and stuff. I love this bag. The leather handle, it makes it, you can just carry it around like this, and if you can walk and knit, you can do that. And I know many of you have these bags, but I really have to show them because I love them so much. And I have some confessions about this bag, because you couldn't get them in Denmark for the longest time, and then I picked one up from an English store, and I went over to Yarn Freak and said to them, you have to have these in your store, and because I had to go get one in England, and I don't want to do that. And then she said, oh, but they're coming on Friday. So it was the same with the Lykke needles. Susanne brought them home from Canada to me, for me, and then Camilla said, oh, I'm gonna carry that in my store in a little while. So you can get Fringe Supply bags in Denmark now, yay! And the badge is another story, and I'm not gonna bore your ears out with stories. This is Le Bien-Aimé's signature color, so you have to get the yellow one on her website. I don't like the just the canvases, the not coated ones as much as I like the coated one, because I really like the sturdiness of it. And this one carries project that I've been talking about on some other episodes. It's a little bit of a heartache of mine, so I won't talk too much about that, but the yellow one. And now here is one of my favorite bags in the whole wide world. And now we are actually almost at the finish line. Thank goodness, I'm quite sweaty also. This bag, this beautiful bag, it's made for me by Susanne in Canada's mom, Bente, one of my dearest friends. It carries empty chocolate wrapper, and I love it. And it's so beautifully made, and it's filled with the most gorgeous pockets in all sizes, with zippers and good stuff. And she just made this bag for me. I mean, I can't say that I didn't encourage her a little bit. Sorry, Bente. I did. I encouraged her a lot, and she showed me this fabric, and this fabric reminds me, it's not at all the same, but still it reminds me of the fabric of my wedding dress. So this was quite nice. And in it I have a project that I'm absolutely in love with. Big project. Andrea Mowry's, what's the name? Oh, you know Andrea Mowry probably. So you can go to her website and find it. It's the most, it's with little bleeps and big bleeps. And in Danish it's called vævestrik. And if you translate that directly, it's called weave knitting, where you sort of carry one thread behind and then you pick up stitches to have this effect. And I love this. It's so much fun to knit. It takes a little longer because the fabric tends to pull together, because you slip stitches all the time. But oh, I love it. And I'm knitting it up in 2 different colors, and they change the color in the knitting. I was planning on actually using more colors, but I love the way these 2 colors knit up together, and it's in Nordlys Superwash from Viking. It's very soft, it's very nice, it's sock yarn. It has a tendency to split, so you have to look out for the yarn when you knit. But the project is beautiful. Oh, it's very warm to sit with. So, and the bag. Oh, I don't know if you can see inside, but I absolutely love this bag. And I have some more of this clever lotion bars, and I really need Danish suppliers to pick up on these lotion bars around the place, because they're so lovely. I got this on Amazon. It's de-stressing massage bar from Kat's Kalmar. It's very nice. Geranium and lavender. So, one of my absolute favorite bags, special made for me. And it stands alone. Not gonna talk a lot about the coated red one, other than thank goodness that they made one of my favorite color. And in it, the beautiful leaf sweater made from Sanne Fjelland, and I'm finished with the body. Now I'm gonna knit up sleeves, and Sanne has promised to help me, because I was having a little bit of difficulty to read the pattern for the sleeves, but that's probably just me. It is. And I made a mistake. This hidden ribbing, I put a picture of it on my Instagram. I'm Henne used on Instagram, and that was actually that took some time, and one of the stitches I didn't get picked up properly, so I had to rescue it with a stitch marker. The yarn is West wool, Stephen West's wool, and it's I talked about it in the last episode. It's gorgeous yarn. And I've got more stuff in this one. But I'm gonna save that. What's in my knitting bag? This is the episode about knitting bags, and then I'm gonna have another episode about what's in my knitting bag, because otherwise we will never finish this episode and people are walking around getting hungrier and hungrier, and good riddance. So the final one is a basket, lovely basket from Selv I've been talking about, and in it is a lot of yarn from Selv. I love Selv, and all this yarn. Oh, I have so much. I have a lot more in my yarn room. Maybe one episode should be a walkthrough in my yarn room when it's completely finished. But I have a lot of different colors at the moment, because I'm knitting my version of the granny coziest memory blanket. This is a long-term project. It's gonna take a while, but I love this project because I love that you begin and finish something all the time. You're constantly in the process. So I like that, and I like putting together the colors. I'm sort of a random. I put some colors in my basket and then I pick out the next color. Of course, I don't want the same green in the same row or just next to each other, but that's the only rule I have for my coziest memory blanket. Good riddance. No more interesting stuff in this one? No? No. And if there is, definitely not going to show it. There's oh, these are old. These are bags for bags for ladies' handbag bags. Good riddance. I've been saying this a lot, but I love saying good riddance. My family hates it when I say good riddance. I love that. I'm done. This was a marathon of a Flaming Needle episode. We will try and figure out how to subtitle this one, and if we don't, please forgive me if you wanted it very much in Danish. There is a Swedish podcaster, Kia's podcast, CIA podcast. She makes the most beautiful knitting, and she is so disciplined. She makes a Swedish version, and she also sometimes retake the whole thing in an English version. And that is something awe-inspiring for me, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think my husband could stand another tour de force around my knitting bags in Danish. So, but to be recommended, Kia's podcast, wonderful. And she knits the most gorgeous stuff. And she's a spinner, so she also makes some of her own yarns. Hello, Kia. And thank you for your recommendation. Yeah, so I guess this is it. All done. Happy Easter, and see you next time. Bye.